Hey, welcome back to the Infamous Podcast. This is Brian.
This is Darryl.
And Darryl, it is really weird doing the podcast while it's light out.
Well, remember, we used to do this
I know.
like a few years ago, not all the time, but like relatively consistently, where it would be maybe maybe once a month we would do this or something like that, depending.
We would do a midday podcast recording. So
Yeah.
And here we are doing it again.
Here we are.
Did you see the thing I sent you about the supernatural alphabet on Instagram?
No, I did not see that.
Okay.
No.
I'm excited for you to see that and respond. Spoiler alert, I is for idiot. I know you're shocked. Anyway, I found it pretty funny, obviously. But all right, so we are recording late. It's Thursday, the 12th. Sorry, guys. Life got away from us. And I know we missed last week. That's my fault. But yeah, so this week we're going to talk about James Van Der Beek for a couple minutes before we really get into it. We've got episodes 3 and 4 of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, and we've got Wonder Man season 1. I know we talked about the first episode already, but we're just going to talk about the season as a whole since we both watched it. Then we'll wrap it up and we'll call it a day. Darryl, how's that sound?
That sounds like a plan.
All right. Before we get into James Van Der Beek, though, let's just take a moment and appreciate the greatness that is Varsity Blues.
I don't want your life.
Playing football at West Canaan was the opportunity of your life. I don't want your life. But I know. So not just the fact that James Van Der Beek died, but like Ron Lester is dead. The Galactic Treasure Paul Walker is dead. Scott Conn still has a career for some reason. Not sure. No, I'm kidding. I love Scott Conn. He's really funny most of the time. He was great in Entourage, since we were just talking about Entourage before we started recording.
It's funny about
later seasons.
Yeah, about Scott Conn is for the longest time. I mean, those early 2000s, it's probably mid to late 2000s when I realized he was related to James Conn.
Yeah,
and then
fair.
you actually look at him, you're like, oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yup. And then what was the other thing? Oh, the other movie he did with Paul Walker, the Deep Blue Sea. No, it wasn't Deep Blue Sea. Was it? No. It was the scuba diving movie with him and Jessica Alba.
Why am I drawing a blank?
I'm literally like, yeah, hold on.
Man, that's just like.
Anyway, Into the Blue. I knew Blue was in there somewhere.
Into the Blue, yeah, okay.
Dude, that movie is like low-key underrated awesome. But yeah, so all right, let's just hop right into the Dawson of it all. And really, like, you know, this is sad. He's been sick for a little while. You know, he leaves behind a wife and 6 kids.
6. He was trying to go to that. I mean, Philip Rivers is like that. Those are rookie numbers, man. You got to put those numbers up.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
So I'm just gonna say right now, the Rules of Attraction. I don't know if you remember that movie from the late 90s with him, where he was like the bad guy. Highly underrated James Van Der Beek performance.
I did watch. I have seen that movie, but I couldn't tell you It's one of those movies that if I watched again, some parts would stick out and other parts would be like, I don't recall that. But yeah, I have seen that.
Yeah. You know, obviously made his claim to fame as, you know, Dawson Leery from Dawson's Creek. He showed up on a lot of things. He was a guy who always had like a really good like sense of humor about himself and about, you know, kind of acting in general. I think outside of Dawson's Creek, probably his standout like TV show was Don't Trust the Bee in Apartment 23, where he played
Yeah.
the evil version of himself, which was just fantastic.
I remember that show
So,
too.
yeah,
And yeah, I'm one of those that my first experience with him was seeing him in Dawson's Creek
yeah,
because of Buffy and some of the other shows at that time,
hmm
watching that and happened to just stumble into Dawson's Creek. I don't know if I watched the premiere, but I watched started with season 1. So I actually saw him in that before the whole Varsity Blues thing
yeah,
before he became, on the big screen with Varsity Blues.
hmm yeah,
But yeah,
yeah, yeah. So,
yeah, I mean, I've always liked every time, I've caught some of his stuff, over the years. But I've always liked him.
oh yeah,
He's one of those that comes across it. He came across as someone that was, very likable persona,
hmm
especially when you're talking about Hollywood. He never seemed like he was one of those with the ego,
right,
and which is very appreciated because of, well, we know about how, Hollywood can make people have, or people develop egos or always had egos and now
right.
have a chance to. He seemed genuine. That's the biggest thing for about me from seeing him from a distance, is that he always seemed genuine.
Right. Yeah, no, he did. You're right. Let's just talk about like, so, okay, obviously we have like Dawson's Creek, Don't Trust the Bee. He was on CSI Cyber, as well as like Carter's Get Rich. There was another show. It was like a British sitcom. So I never even saw that. He showed up on like Modern Family and things like that. But I want to talk about the movies for a second. So we have Varsity Blues. He also played Dawson Leery in Scary Movie.
Oh, the original.
And then he was in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back as himself. And then again in the reboot, which I did not watch Jay and Silent Bob reboot. Um, but then I don't know if you remember this, but he was Rocky in the Power Rangers short film. Remember that one that came out where like his version of Rocky had the robot leg because they're like, you killed Kimberly, and like it had what's his name? Jason Paul Frank. No, that's not his name. Tommy.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Um,
Jason, is it David Frank?
David Frank. No, the guy who was Tommy. I can't remember his name now. He's passed away too since. Anyway, but he was, he was Rocky, and he was like hunting like for Kimberly, which was Katie Sackhoff. If you guys just go and it's on YouTube. It is like the darkest timeline of the Power Rangers, and he was really good in it. But yeah, it's just one of those things that oh no, it was Jason Scott Lee was the predecessor for Rocky in that one, and then the dude was not. Tommy was not. The Tommy from the TV show was not Tommy in the movie or in the short. Anyway, sorry guys. But yeah, like his whole, like just his whole vibe, his whole career, it was just like he kept to himself. I remember watching a thing about him before he got sick, talking about how he left Hollywood and like kind of moved out and became a farmer essentially. Just really seemed like a genuine person. And when someone like that passes away, it's like, it's not more sad, but it's definitely sad. It's and we're not going to get to see him do like fun stuff anymore, and show us our screen, show up on our screen.
Yeah, and it is also a reminder. Like, I mean, yes, we're as far removed from him, like, from a personal level, like any of these people, even Catherine O'Hara, like all these people. But I mean, when stuff like this happens, it's just that reminder that, hey, no matter where we are, we're all people. We're just people,
Right.
and that there's no pedestal that keeps you safe from things. It's just, I mean, it's just the fact of life. The other day rewatched part scenes of Gladiator, and what
Mm-hmm.
Proximo says is like, ultimately we're all dead men.
Mm-hmm.
It's just we can't choose that, but we can choose how we face that end.
Yeah.
And that's just stuff like this. It just kind of reminds me. Like I said, I don't didn't know the guy. Just what I saw about him, I liked, and it's just that reminder. Things unexpected happen to you, but you can always have that live that life
Right.
with family,
Yeah.
with what is really important.
Yeah.
That's the key, is just finding what's really important to you.
And to be honest, like family is definitely like probably the most important thing. So, cool. All right. I mean, yeah. So, let's move on to something a little more lighthearted.
Little more rainbowish, a little more,
Right.
hey, the sun also rises.
Yeah, so we have a Night of the Seven Kingdoms. We're gonna do this by episode because I really just want to talk about this show for a while. Um, so season 1, episode 3, it's called The Squire, and Egg is really pushing to become Duncan's real squire here, and the tourney is going on. The Targaryens show up. Things go from bad to worse. Arian is super, super cruel, like both on the list, in the list. Is it on the list or in the lists?
Actually, that's a good question.
So it says here on and off the lists. So
We're just gonna go with
yeah,
that.
we're gonna go with that. And we get to see Dunk's sense of knightly justice, and then finally, Egg reveals who he is to Duncan, in a very heartbreaking scene. The look on Peter Calfee's face as Dunk when Egg bursts in and is like, "Put him down," or whatever he says. What was crazy. But here's the thing: is Egg 100% could have just stopped her from getting beaten up without letting on of who he is.
Mm-hmm. So without like going back just to overall of this episode, this was just another one of those. I mean, we're 3 episodes in. This is our third episode, and this just kind of puts a stamp on what type of show this is. It's far more, don't get me wrong. There, as you just mentioned about the, what happens at the end. There's a lot of serious stuff that goes on, but it's a far lighter tone, and more importantly, it's a tone about a character. Like your primary character is like that archetypical heroic knight that we rarely get true heroic characters. And when we do, a lot of times Hollywood comes back, revisits that character that they actually did a good job of making heroic, and then they what is the word, what the phrase they like to use, they deconstruct, subvert, whatever you want to call it.
They ruin it.
Ruin, yes, that is better. That's that encapsulates it much better. But I just like, because we start off with a practicing to be the good squire, trying to with Thunder the horse, and I love that scene, because again, another kind of that lighthearted scene where I've talked about before, when we first talked about this show, about Donk's earnestness of being a knight, a hedge knight, and what it means to be a knight. But you also see Egg's earnestness, how much he wants to be this squire for this knight, and this is something he's always dreamed about, and the seriousness of him helping the horse practice. Like, look, dude, you might not be used to what's going to happen, but you're going to have to get used to charging, so let's go. And watching him and the horse, that Egg and Dunk, their chemistry is so good. But I will say he had a pretty good chemistry with that horse, which that was one of the lighthearted scenes in this episode that just makes it such a joy to watch.
Right. Yeah, no, and you're right, 100% about that. Yeah, I just, God, I really liked it. Just for the whole episode, the scene where Arian kills the horse And, Duncan is like, oh, well, he couldn't have meant to do that. Like, and Egg is like, he meant it, sir. He meant it because he knows. Which makes a line from the next episode all the funnier, which I'll get to when we get to it. But just the torture that Egg was under from Arian. But I just really liked just a lot of the episode. I thought it was really, really well done. I think that Ian, whatever his name is, the showrunner, like just really loves Ira. Thank you.
Yeah.
He loves this material. Like this, honestly, like give him the rest of Game of Thrones. Like dude's a fan.
How refreshing is it to see, like you just said, a show? Because again, one of my favorite things that HBO does with their shows is the after the episode. I absolutely love watching those, hearing the little behind the scenes snippets for episodes. And you're right, listening to him, and I don't recall his last name, Ira. I know it's Ira.
Yeah.
But watching him talk about these characters, watching him talk about this world, it's one of those reminders, because a lot of times we get so pessimistic about Hollywood, and rightfully so. When we get stuff like this, when we get people who actually care about the source material, we talked about this ad nauseum when we were reviewing Cobra Kai. It's a reminder why we love these type of things, whether it be fantasy, whether it be, doesn't matter the genre, whether it be TV or movies. When people behind the scenes let their love and talent move a show instead of agenda, that's what we love, is, people like him. And again, it's one of those things, I don't care about, what he leans this way or that. What I care about is that he cares about this show, that his focus is on this show and everything, and the talent. And because again, you can be earnest, you can be passionate, but you also need talent to bring these things alive. And the people behind the scenes, like whether it be the actors, which we can go on about the actors, not just Duncan Egg, but the guy that plays Baylor, the guy that plays like just such a great cast.
Lionel Baratheon.
Yeah. Oh, the Laughing Storm, which is one of my favorite, nicknames in the Game of Thrones world. But the costume and production designers, this is one of those things. This is why we watch shows like this or movies like this, where for those brief moments, whether it be an hour, 2 hours, in this case 30 minutes, we can get away from the world and we can just soak up another world, and we can soak up a character like Duncan the Tall, who is such a heroic archetype of what we love about heroes, what it means to be a hero. And we don't get that enough. And seeing this in a world that I love, get the whole Game of Thrones world in general. And again, I really really like this novella when I read it a few years back. And like I said, revisiting it and how much they captured what the novella was, but also putting it as a visual. Oh man.
Well, and this is the first chapter of the novella too. So like, I definitely want to see more of this story, especially knowing how this ends. Again, I won't spoil anything because like I'm just excited to see it. But yeah, all right. So let's get to our ratings for this one. So out of the Kingdom's Most Dangerous Puppet Show, what do you give the episode?
I give it a 4.2 out of 5.
It took you a second because I switched the order of the names.
Well, I was like, I sometimes have trouble like scrolling through and then scroll past and then like scroll back down.
I know, but usually you're on top and I'm on the bottom there.
Yeah.
And so I forgot. And I was like, well, I'm too lazy.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Again, this show, every week, this show just for me gets better and better. And I get more and more excited waiting for the next episode. I kind of wish I could be watching one to like the next episode, the actual tourney the trial of 7, and
Oh, I'm so stoked for
that's
episode
going
5.
back.
I'm so stoked for
We'll
episode
talk more
5.
about that in the next episode.
Yeah.
But yes, I really love this show, and I'll explain it more if we talk about the next episode.
Yep. So
But 4.2 out of 5.
Yeah, I did a 4.12 out of 5. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was a great episode. I thought it was great character building. I think it moved the story along. For all the TV shows out there that are doing 6 to 8 episodes, please watch this. This is a masterclass in no filler, all killer.
Yes.
Thus far. And like
right.
when we talk about Wonder Man later, there's definitely some filler in there that could have been trimmed out or trimmed down.
Trimmed down. Yeah, I would say trimmed down.
Yeah, I don't think out, but that's why I added down. But
yes.
but yeah, I do think this is a really, really good show, and it's well worth watching. All right, let's go on to episode 4. It's called 7.
Which I don't think I knew that was the title of the episode.
Actually, now that I'm looking at it, I'm really curious. I think that might be wrong. A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. No, it is 7. Oh, okay. Yeah, the next episode is in the name of the mother. That makes sense. All right. So in this one, it opens up. Dunk is imprisoned, and Egg tells him his real name is Aegon Targaryen, and they have a great conversation about the name Aegon and how many kings have there been named Aegon, and Egg is like 4, sir.
Yeah.
Like, just it's really funny because I don't think Egg really understood the trouble he got Duncan into,
right,
until Darren lied.
Oh yeah, Darren, his brother. Yeah. I love this scene. One, the first part of this, you're like, you get the first image is of the sky and the stars, and how it transitions into the ceiling of this jail cell. I thought that that was brilliant, because that kind of harkens back to episode 1 and how they sleep under the stars, the two of them.
Well, it's also foreshadowing for when he gets his shield. So
right. So I love that. And then the conversation, the thing I love about this conversation is Dunk does not sugarcoat things for Egg. He's like, I didn't mean any harm, or I didn't think I was doing anything wrong. He's like, yes, you did, because you lied. You knew it, that you were doing something wrong because you lied. And then when he's like, dry your eyes, I liked how he held him accountable. That's the thing. And again, that's part of Dunk. He thinks people should be accountable, which people should be.
Right.
And I think Egg, that has to teach him a lesson, about being truthful, but also, and we get this when they go to see Baelor, where, Dunk even tries to say, he didn't mean any harm. And Baelor says, just because you don't mean harm doesn't mean that, you won't cause harm, or something along the line. It's a great line.
Don't want none, don't get none.
Yeah. But I just really like the fact that he didn't sugarcoat things when, like, Egg was like, oh, don't cry. No, you did this, and you put me in a very, very bad position. Now, but again, at the same time, like when he talks to Baelor, what does Dunk say? He's like, I'm protecting the innocent. Isn't that what all knights are charged to? Didn't matter that it was a prince that was doing the the tomfoolery. He was still protecting the innocent. And I really like, just the conversations we have in this episode about that. And then when he talks to was it Raymond Fossaway? The young lad that he reminds me so much of Podrick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's got to be on purpose. I feel like they did the look of the kid on purpose to be very pod-like. Yeah. I think we're skipping over the trial by combat, though.
Yes. Well, yeah, I was just kind of like going to that scene with Pod where he says, maybe this is because Dunk kind of like doubts, like, maybe this is to teach me to know my place.
Right.
When no, it's not about knowing your place. It's about doing what's right.
Right.
And yeah, going back to what you're saying, the trial of 7, when when Baylor, he asked him, he's like, "Hey, how good of a knight are you?"
Right.
And then that's when we, kind of go to the scene of Dunk in front of the Targaryens.
Mm-hmm. And make her, or make hair, however you say it. And Arian and Dunk and Egg are in there, and Egg gets sent out. But then Arian, instead of a trial by combat, he demands a trial of 7, which is something that hasn't been done or seen in the 7 kingdoms for over 100 years at this point. And I think I don't remember if it was said in the show or the book, but something that like it only had to happen like maybe like 4 times. And so it's a 7-on-7 joust at dawn. And, they tried to talk Arian out of it, and he's like, no, it's my right. And, cause he's a little bitch.
Well, basically that's what his father calls him.
Yeah. He's like, you didn't think you could fight him 1-on-1. And he's like, it's my right. So smug.
And watching Makor when Arian is crunching the walnuts or whatever, he is so done with his son.
Oh yeah.
It's just like, take a breath so I don't stab him right here. He had that look on his face.
I know I said it last week, but the kid playing Arian, Severus. 100% Severus.
Oh yeah.
Like even more so this, like after episode 4. Like just he's Severus Albarca. Just Severo, sorry. Severo Albarca.
But like for those that don't know, that's from the Red Rising series.
Yeah. So anyway,
great series, by the way.
Even better than Game of Thrones. And then Dunk's like, well, I don't know 7 nights. And then he's like, well, that means you're guilty.
Yeah.
Only rich assholes will immediately been like, well, you don't know 7 people, you're guilty of something. Anyway. But yeah, so then the episode turns into Dunk going in and trying to build his team. He sees Sir Stefan, Raymond's cousin, who agrees to fight for Dunk. Egg tells him that Darren, Makar, and the 3 Knights Guards will fight with Aaron. Darren comes to Dunk in a great scene. I was really, really looking forward to their interaction from the book to the show, just because I wanted to see how Peter was going to react, like how he was going to do the role, because like it's the first time you ever see Dunk really lose his temper.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And it was wonderful. And Darren's apologizing, and like he's like, well, go, like, tell him you lied. And he's like, well, I'm not doing that. They're making me fight, sir. So I'll just fall off my horse and you just knock me in the head a little bit, and I'll lay there and play dead.
I love that. He's like, not too hard, preferably not too hard.
Yeah. So
he's like, look, I'm going to take the fall. I'm a shit at what I'm doing, and I was a shit heel for doing this. So you're not going to have to worry about me fighting, really.
But yeah, then he has the wherewithal to tell him about another dream he's had of Duncan with a dead dragon, which, spoilers, we'll see.
I like that. Spoilers. We'll see.
And then so Duncan goes around. He goes to Steely Pate. Steely Pate tells him where that Tanzel has fled, and then presents him with the shield that she painted for him, which, going back to the sky at the beginning, it's a purple sky going into night, and the stars flying over top, and Duncan takes it for a bad omen. And then he talks, Steely Pate talks about how green the trees are, and about how it's actually a thing of hope, which I thought was great. But then the armor he gave him too, he's like, for you, a copper. It was a really great moment between them, for sure. And then as dawn arrives, Egg brings in the cavalry.
Yeah. And also we get the a bait and switch in the sense of a legitimate switch where Mr. Fossaway, who we thought was like, oh, when he's like, you have my sword.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do this for more glory. He's like, oh yeah, by the way, I got a lordship,
Yeah.
so I'm going to the other team.
Yes, and which leads to the great thing is Sir Humphrey, who had his leg was shattered in the
Yeah,
previous episode. It's like, I'll just stay on my horse. I'm very good on my horse normally.
yeah.
So
Like, dude, that's a man right there. That's like,
that's a fucking knight.
yeah,
So, but and then so Stefan and Raymond get into a little bit, and he's like, and he tells him that like people have gotten lordships for less, and turned on people, so they're left with 5. So then Raymond is like, well, knight me, and Duncan is so hesitant, and
yeah,
because Duncan is not a real knight.
yeah.
I mean, and I think Lionel figured it out really quick. But like, he just said he was knighted by his former knight.
Yeah.
So it was a really nice scene because it just shows the integrity that even though he's lying, even though we never learn that he's lying. It's just, I suspect, that he's being a knight for the right reason, but he's also not going to violate their oath.
Right. Yeah, I love that scene because you have him walking or on the horseback, walking up to the front to talk to the head of games or whatever, while Lionel is doing the knighting, and you have the voiceover of Lionel, speaking the creed in slow motion. That was such a and that's the other thing when I talk with this show is so well done from a visual standpoint. Knowing when to use something like slow motion that bleeds into another scene or what have you, or how I mentioned before at the start of this episode where you see the sky and how it bleeds into the ceiling for the for the prison. It's just so well done. And like you said, like okay, now they have 6. 6 against 7. We'll fight 6 against 7. We'll fight handicap. And it's like, nah, that's not how this works.
Well, but his speech that he
well
gives,
I know,
and like, so before we find out if there is a 7th night, you are completely enamored with the speech because of, and I am as well, because of the delivery.
Yeah. So yeah, this comes after when they find out, like, hey, we need, they need a 7th person, and it's like, hey, I was only defending, and this is where Peter Claffey, he shines so well. I mean, I've loved his earnestness, as far as his earnestness, his hesitancy, his his insecurity, but this shows his passion and what makes him Duncan the Tall is when he addresses the crowd and says, hey, this is what I was doing. Are you with me? Who's with me? And we get another fake out, which is so good, but it was frustrating at the same time, where this monster of a mountain of a man, the Bracken the Brute or something, that was his name, stands up, and everybody's like, you're thinking, okay,
yeah,
this guy's fighting, he's ready, and this guy's massive, like I said,
oh yeah,
and his name precedes him, and then he had to pass gas. That's it.
Yeah, he just had to stand up and cut loose.
And again, everybody laughs, and you're like, you thought Duncan's speech before that, like, who's with me? I was just doing what a knight was charged to, was good. That, are there no true knights among you?
Right.
Or like, no, he's like, has courage, or are there, what is it? Is courage dead in the noble houses of Westeros? I will not believe that. Are there no good knights among you? And I'm just saying the lines. You have to watch the line. You have to watch it. I've honestly watched that scene like probably a dozen. Just the scene. I've watched the episode a couple times, but just that scene itself, or that section of the scene, him, doing that, him, just Claffey is on fire. And it's like one of those things where, you know, you have speeches like in Braveheart or like in Gladiator and 300 and movies like that where you're just like, okay, where's the sword? I'm running through the wall for this guy. And that's the same type of energy that he brought in this scene where it's like I got goosebumps. And like when he says, are there no good knights among you? Like they're just, and that those goosebumps 2 seconds later got even bigger because when you hear somebody does answer the call.
Yeah, here, right. I found it.
My lords, I know none of you remember Sir Erlen of Pennytree, but I was his squire. We served many of you, ate at your tables, slept in your halls. He was a good man. And he taught me how to be a knight. Not just sword and lance, but honor. A knight defends the innocent. That's all I did. I was not Sir Erlen's blood, but I have followed his example. As your sons will follow yours. Who will stand and fight with me?
I think that was Eric Swalwell.
Has courage deserted the noble houses of Westeros? I will not believe it is so. And there are no true knights among you.
And that's when Baelor Targaryen makes his entrance.
And we get the Game of Thrones music.
Yeah, I like the full Game of Thrones music too, not the version like that we've gotten from the show, which is great. You know, and to be fair, like Calfee is just so good in this role, and you know this is what we want to see from God. You know, we want to see the good in people. We want to see the you know the people helping and protecting and you know everything that Jaime Lannister wasn't, everything that Ned Stark was, and Duncan is he's not the embodiment of Ned Stark because he's got a different he's not as cynical as Ned. Ned was always cynical. He's you know, but at the same time, like he's the man. So yeah, I don't know, man. I loved it. I thought it was great, like you. So out of 5, 7 nights for 7 gods. What do you give the episode?
This one I gave it a 4.65 out of 5. This is again only 4 episodes in. Absolutely my favorite episode. Like I said, I've watched I think 3 of the 4 episodes twice, but as far as scenes go, this is truly one of my favorite Game of Thrones, House of Dragon, Night of Seven. Like, I'll even go so far as any fantasy. This is one fantasy shows or movies. One of my favorite scenes is that speech by Duncan the Tall, and just such a great episode, and it gives you that hope that the idea of heroism is not truly dead. Right. It's just on life support, and then you have a show like this which puts it at the forefront. It just gives me hope that other people will actually see this and realize this is what people want. This is what people want in their heroes. There is a time and a place for a guy like Deadpool or someone like Wolverine and other characters that we see, but we also want characters that are like this, that are strong and that stand up for those that can't stand up for themselves.
Right. So, all right. So I gave this a 4.57. This is fantastic. I mean, this is, this is the calm before the storm, and I'm really excited to see where it goes, what happens next, and then, who's gonna survive the
trial of seven.
The trial of seven. We'll find out on Sunday. It sucks that we have to wait a whole, like we had 2 extra days to wait.
I know.
Because the Superb Al was on. So thank you, Wrestle Talk.
Yeah.
Thank you for that one. I'm never calling it the Super Bowl again. It's the Superb Al. Anyway, if you're not watching the show, watch the show, please.
Hey,
please.
Why don't you have to crack a Foster's and say, hey, it's three-odd season.
Three-odd season. Oh, God, if Foster's is such horrible beer too. Anyway, all right, let's move on to our last topic of the show.
And this might be one of the most biggest surprises for you, isn't it? Of the year so far.
I would tend to say yes, that it is the biggest surprise of me for probably the last 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
All right. So we did the first episode of Wonder Man 2 weeks ago. We both liked it. So actually, let's see, what did we give it?
That's actually a good question.
It's a good thing that like the podcast lives in my Evernote. All right. Oh, that was did we do it last week? So we gave it a 3. I gave it a 3.8, and you gave it a 3.75.
Yeah.
So, all right.
And one of the things that with the caveat when we said, because you always have to do this with shows and movies, or mostly shows, is that this was a good start, but there's still 7 episodes to go. They can always fumble this, but they could also keep the momentum.
There's always a bag to be fumbled.
Yes. And I will say, as much as I don't know if I was just for the quick background on this one, I love I really like as an actor Yahya Abdul-Mateen.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't when he got cast as Wonder Man. I will admit, even though like I said, I like him as an actor, I just kind of rolled my eyes because this was another race swap.
You're so racist.
Simon Williams / Wonder Man is not a character a lot of people know. As I mentioned to you, Brian, I'm probably the only person that actually liked the character. Like again, actually,
I'm the one who said you're the one who read his comic book. I'm the one who said you're the one who read his comic. When you were like, "Oh, I read Wonder Man comics," and I said, "Oh, you're the one."
Oh yeah.
So that's where that came from. Credit where credit is due, my friend.
Well, no, I'm saying like when I told you that I actually liked the character. Mm-hmm. Because I actually found some of the comics when we were cleaning out my parents' house, a few years ago. Some of the comics that I still hadn't brought over. But so it was an eye roll considering. And then I saw I will admit the trailer that we saw about a month or two ago, a couple months ago.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't really I really couldn't tell what they were trying to go for. And I was like, I don't know if this is going to work.
It just looked
but
weird.
yeah. And I'm just thinking, okay, whatever. I'm going to check it out. And the first episode, I'm like, oh, okay. I kind of like this. And 7 episodes later, I still really like this show. I compare it, and again, not from quality standpoint, because Winter Soldier's to me still the best MCU movie out there. But in the sense of Winter Soldier works even if you took out the superheroes. Mm-hmm. Wonder Man, even if you took out, and you said this too, like when you texted me, like if you took out the MCU stuff, Wonder Man still works.
Yeah,
yeah.
I think it works better.
I think it might work better too, to be honest.
Like, if it's the story about a struggling actor and an old actor who was kind of famous a long time ago but got into trouble, and they're the most unlikeliest like duo mentors, you know. So, yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing that works is the muted use of his abilities. Mm-hmm. I really like how it was one of those things where you see as the first couple episodes go, snippets of he's getting anxious. I can see something going on here. And, because again, like you said, he's a struggling actor who he loves his craft, but at the same time, he's so in his own head where he'll take one scene that he's in as a guest character and really go to town about, okay, well, if these people had this, and that's what I like when you were talking about this would work without the MCU or without the powers or whatever, is that, he's this actor that he is super serious about acting. He loves it, but also he gets so into it where he can't quite read the room, so to speak.
Right. Yeah, he is.
And that's kind of one of the things that is his bane in a way of why potentially he hasn't gotten to the point of where he could be or, where his talents lie.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah, I don't know. It's the show. It's one of these shows that's like we're not going to go episode by episode. It's just one of these shows that's like way better than it has any business to be. Like you have Damage Control, like you were saying. Stewie from Succession is awesome. As Agent Damage Control, as I like to call him. What one of my favorite parts is when he took Trevor to the cookout.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking like, man, Trevor's part of the culture now.
It's like
Trevor's more of the culture than Simon is.
Well, it's funny you said it was like the that one I just ran into the Instagram guys where it's like it's like taking my white friend to do black people.
Have I not shared those with you?
Yeah, you have.
Oh, okay, that's
yeah.
I'm taking my white friend to do black people shit. I'm taking my black friend to do white people shit.
And
today
I think
we're doing white girl shit. Yeah. They took him to the cookout. Yeah. The best is they took him when they took the black guy to the hockey game.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
Anyway, but yeah, it's just all of that, Trevor obviously actually really, really, really likes Simon. Like, it's like he doesn't want to turn him in to the point where he like destroys the recording. And then, I like when they both got called back because they were together and they found out.
Yeah.
That was great. I think let's talk about episode 4. I think episode 4 we can talk about as a whole because it's a standalone episode.
Right, the doorman, which I think it's the first scene where he signs up for the role, like or not the
it's
first
when
scene.
He goes in that he has to sign the DeMar doorman
policy where it's like
yeah, they're saying that you're not a
it's basically saying you don't have superpowers. And it's one of those things where it's like you don't think about it, and then we get to this episode and kind of things you get the idea of, okay, this is where this comes from, where it was such a, I mean, I liked it, but at the same time, because I like seeing this, I like the idea of this, again, going back to a guy who is, not even an actor, and then a Hollywood guy picks him up and he has this, whirlwind 15 minutes with this, with this phrase that says like yeet, ding dong. And for a certain amount of time, a short amount of time, people are like, okay, we're tired of this.
Well, he went full Bailey. Ding dong.
Yeah.
I mean, who doesn't like it when they go full Bailey?
I mean, that's true.
But yeah, it's just it's one of those things. Yeah, it was just, I don't know. It was so jarring, and I honestly think, one of the things Marvel has done well in the past, and this is what The Expanse did really well when they started adding the novellas into it. It would either be a little snippet before or a little snippet of the story after the episode.
Right.
And I think it would have worked so much better. You could even had one less episode. Like you could have just done 7 episodes and it would have been great. But let's just be honest. There was one super great thing that happened in episode 4.
Well, it actually kind of reminded me of the one scene, the funniest scene of Happy Gilmore 2 for me, where Travis Kelce meets his fate at the hands of a bear after he's slathered in honey. In this case, it's Josh Gad.
I mean, like, Josh Gad disappearing is not a bad thing for the world. Yeah, it's just funny. Like, he does this movie Cash Grab and he becomes massive success. And, the big scene in the movie is like they escape by running through him. And then in Cash Grab 2, because of, his overexposure, criticism leading to all sorts of self-doubt and alcoholism, Josh Gad doesn't make it through Doorman. Plain and simple. And they're not able to find him. And so Davis was now under, Damar Doorman is now under lifelong surveillance. And the Hollywood studios created the Doorman clause, banning superpowered people from working in the industry and required actors to sign contracts stating they have no powers.
Yeah.
What do you think would happen if an actor signed and just put unlimited power?
I mean, if it's unlimited, what are you going to really do?
Exactly.
I want this role.
Like, I mean, I just can't see Franklin Richards not like going in one day and be like, I want to act. No, sir, you can't. Their reality is different. You never existed.
You're a dolphin now.
But I'm here. Are you though? So anyway, so yeah, so then it goes from there. Which was the episode with the reporter following them around? Episode 7. So while they're filming and everything, New York Times journalist Kathy Friedman is writing a profile on both Simon and Trevor. And Simon is terrified that she's going to find out who he is, not just his superpowers, but a giant douche.
Yeah, again, it like this is like for him a person like him, Simon, who is, like I said, is already in his own head, even though he's gotten to actually it's not even though it's because he's also gotten to the top of his mountain, so to speak, getting the role of Wonder Man, which, by the way, this almost is not, I won't say an indictment of Hollywood, but like a satire in the way it talks about how, this Wonder Man was such a big part of his life in the 80s, growing up, going to see the movie with his father, that, this is the remake of that character, and he gets this role that he's wanted because it means so much to him. And like you said, this reporter who is known for what did Joseph Gordon-Levitt do? This,
I forget what they said he did, but yeah.
There's something about a bird or whatever, but he's afraid that, like, well, she found out about that. How's that she's not going to find out about me? And that just, with everything else going on, that is like, it's one of those things where, when you're worried about something, you get anxiety about something, and you're one of those overly critical people about yourself. It's one of those things, how they say, a vicious cycle, and that's what Simon is to himself we see this throughout the series. And funny enough, Trevor has helped him on a couple of occasions, like where when they're about to read for the role, where he tells them, like, do the box breathing when they're, one of their first couple episodes when they're in a restaurant, or maybe midway through, where Simon is, he's almost hyperventilating, and so he's terribly afraid of what Kathy is going to find out, and everything's going to crumble, because he already has, he has a mom who supports him, but his brother, they're very much at odds. And I think it's his older brother who really kind of resents him, and the way his mom treats Simon, and Simon's less than successful career as it stands.
But hey, he's a manager at an insurance company now.
Right.
I mean, Eric is the pinnacle of success in the MCU. He's a middle manager, just like Nick Fury. Just like Phil Coulson. Just like, whatever the name of Colby Smolder's character is, I can't remember now.
Yeah. Just like Damage Control.
Yep, just like Damage Control, and just in general. I thought it was really good. I also liked the end of this episode when Trevor confesses the truth about his deal with Damage Control, and that's when Simon really loses control of his powers. And then going into the finale, he goes back to his apartment, assuming he's going to get arrested. Trevor calls him and has a solution, and he revives the Mandarin persona publicly, claiming responsibility. It was just so funny to see that. And then they were replaying the Mandarin threats against Tony Stark.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God.
And what does he tell Damage? I love when they're putting him in the car, he says, "You never saw me coming."
Just Ben Kingsley is so awesome. He's just so awesome as an actor. I'm really happy he doesn't talk about things publicly, because I really like him. But yeah, so then they replace Trevor with Joey Pantaleone, Pants, who earlier in the series, which we did not talk about, it turned out that him and Trevor were at odds with each other, and it was oh, this is too good. This is just it's too good. I love it.
I will say this: watching him play as the Mandarin in this just was another kick in the fruits because of what he could have been. I will say this though, and I know you hadn't seen Shang-Chi, and he was pretty good in that. But there aren't many jobs better that Marvel has done than, and again, I know some people didn't mind him, how they did the Mandarin. I despised it in Iron Man 3. I still do. The way they've rallied behind the character, and again, a lot of this is because Ben Kingsley is so great. Let's be honest. He's just a phenomenal actor. But they've done such a job taking a character that a lot of people just despise because of the bait and switch they did, and making him a fully functional character in the MCU. I mean, I will give them their flowers for being able to pull this off.
Yeah, I mean, it was I didn't hate Iron Man 3, so I can't really.
No, I didn't. No,
No,
I didn't hate Iron Man
I'm saying
3.
I didn't even hate
Yeah.
the Mandarin thing.
Yeah. And going back to the what I said about the Simon Williams thing.
Yeah.
Yes, you're the only one. But yeah, I actually didn't despise the movie.
Yeah.
At all. And I did.
But
it's just again, it's the bait and switch actually, because, and again, this proves it too, how much more epic it could have been, because I'm basing this on the fact that Ben Kingsley is such a phenomenal actor, and I wanted to see him more in that role. But like I said, I will give them their flowers for being able to take what many people didn't like and turning it around and saying, hey, look what we did with this. It worked. I will say it worked. Like I said, I liked him in Shang-Chi, and I really, really liked him in this. So maybe it worked out the way it was supposed to work out. Who knows?
Who knows? The other thing is now they're taking him to Yucca Valley. It's a very expensive raft-like prison that they have built in California, and now Simon learns that he can pick whatever role he wants next. And in true actor fashion for Simon, he chooses to shadow a damage control guard under the guise that they're going to make a movie about this guy. It's like, okay, how stupid are you all? Oh, you're the government.
Yeah, right.
I get it. You're all stupid. Which gives Simon access to Yucca Valley. And, just as they figure out that Simon's powers use ionic energy, and they propose that like Simon could be an asset, Simon uses his power to break Trevor out, and he flies up through the ceiling, Homelander style, and takes off.
Yeah, I like the idea of him finally accepting and embracing his power and being able to control it, because before it was all about subduing it and holding back and keeping under wraps. So people didn't, realize that, hey, this guy has powers. So I appreciate it. I'm still not sure how much I like the way it ended. That's one of those things where don't know if
This is where the not having powers, not having to be a Marvel show, like would have made it better. So I agree. I wasn't crazy about the end, but it's a limited series. I don't think it's coming back.
Yeah, and that's the one thing I wasn't sure about, like what their plan is for these characters. I mean, I expect to see them in other things. They were too well crafted, too well acted to not take advantage. And whether that's another Wonder Man, whether they show up in another TV show or another movie, I don't know. But I just know that I had a very good time with this series. And again, this is another one of those shows. The episodes are between 30 and 40 minutes, I believe.
The last one was like the longest one. I think it was like 42.
Mm-hmm. And this is a show I'll absolutely watch this again.
I agree with that statement.
I really like it's an easy watch, but it's not an easy watch in the sense of there's depth to it, which I appreciate. It's not like one of those shows where it's like, because again, except for one episode and snippets in here and there with other ones, it's a very well paced show for the most part. That I just love watching primarily these two characters on screen together.
Yeah. They're great. Yeah. All right. So out of 10, is it really that bad that Josh Gad disappeared into Doorman?
Ah, you've changed it.
Yeah, I forgot to update the Evernote. What do you give it?
7.65. This is such a good show. I probably could have gone a little bit higher. The only reason I didn't get like it lost a couple percentage point or points here and there or tenths from the ending as well as the Doorman episode, which, like I said, it wasn't bad, but it really took me out of I was talking about how well paced it was and momentum. And if it wasn't for those two, I'm thinking this thing is, for me at least, would probably have been an 8. But I had to knock it for those two things. So, yeah. But again, I would highly recommend this show. Like whether you could not care less about the MCU. I would still, even though there's some things you wouldn't get, I would still recommend this show because it's like you said, this show works as a struggling actor trying to find his way who gets mentored by an actor that was famous and did some bad things, and like that works as a show in of itself, completely separate from the MCU. So I would recommend it to MCU fans. I would recommend it to people who know nothing of the MCU and everybody in between.
Yes. Why don't you read my score because it's so shocking?
7.95 out of 10.
I loved it. I thought it was great. I mean, between this and A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, I'm like, sweet. There's like good TV to watch.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. Well, on that note, just close out R.I.P. James Van Der Beek. Someone should go find Joey and tell her you never deserved him. You were never good enough for him. And maybe push Pacey in the creek. I don't know, so I shouldn't say that because I only refer to Joshua Jackson as Pacey and sometimes Charlie Conway. So,
when we talk, I think it's usually it's almost always
it's almost always Pacey, but sometimes like if I ever meet him, I'm going to just call him Pacey until he's like, dude, stop calling me Pacey. And then I'm going to start calling him Charlie Conway. Or actually, then I'm going to start calling him Spazway. So, and then I hope he punches me.
Well, I might call him Peter. Peter Bishop from Fringe.
Yeah. Anyway.
All right.
Yeah. So cool. Well, thank you all for listening. Have a great day, night, evening, weekend, wherever you are. Darryl, you got anything you want to add?
No. And if you're not watching these shows, I hope you're watching because we spoiled some things, but also I'm looking forward to talking Fallout in the next week or so as well. Season 2.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I will endeavor to finish it. I like it too, so it's not like it's hard to finish. But all right, on that note, we will see you all later, and remember, be infamous. The Infamous Podcast is recorded in Kings Mills, Ohio, just north of Cincinnati. You can find new episodes every Sunday on Apple Podcast, YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcast, our website, or anywhere podcasts are downloaded. This show is hosted by Darryl Jasper and me, Brian Tudor. To find more information about the show, visit us at infamouspodcast.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Infamous Podcast to keep up with the show. We also have a Patreon page, patreon.com/infamouspodcast. We have some great rewards for our patrons and are looking for help to grow the show to bring you more of the content you want to hear. Music for this podcast is provided by Michael Henry from meetmichaelhenry.com. So, whenever you're listening to us, have a great day, night, evening, weekend, whenever it is, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.